On a cool afternoon, the sky was clear and a gentle breeze was blowing. Peppa's family gathered in the yard to prepare for a special time together. Peppa quickly ran into the house to call Mummy Pig outside. Meanwhile, Daddy Pig was carefully getting the musical instruments ready so the whole family could play music together. George toddled over to help Daddy Pig, looking very excited. The whole family gathered together, played musical instruments, sang songs, and laughed happily. The afternoon passed with cheerful music and the warm happiness of Peppa's family. One beautiful morning, Peppa and George were sitting inside the house, chatting happily. George came up with the idea of painting, and Peppa agreed right away. They ran outside to the garden, where an easel was ready. The two of them started painting. Peppa drew George, and George drew Peppa. After a while, they both finished their artworks and felt very happy. Peppa and the Big Rainy Day. One stormy day, dark clouds covered the sky and the rain began to pour down heavily. George happily nodded. The two of them quickly picked up their colorful umbrella, opened the door, and ran out into the yard. The rain fell pitter-patter, forming big puddles all over the ground. They kept jumping and splashing, water flying in all directions, their laughter filling the air. Soon the rain stopped, and the sky became bright again. The two little pigs looked at each other, giggling, and ran back inside, soaked but very happy. One beautiful day, Peppa's family went outside to relax. Peppa and her little sister happily carried a big box of colorful Lego bricks. Mummy Pig gently spread out a blanket on the green grass. Then, the whole family sat down together and opened the Lego box. Piece by piece, the little bricks turned into cute and funny animals. Daddy Pig soon joined them, and everyone started building. The family laughed and chatted, enjoying a happy weekend together. One lovely morning, Mummy Pig was tidying up the house. Daddy Pig came over with an idea. How about we go on a relaxing family trip? Peppa and George cheered with excitement. The whole family quickly got ready, hopped into the car, and set off. On the way, everyone was laughing and chatting happily. When they arrived, Peppa and George eagerly went rowing. while Mommy and Daddy Pig enjoyed a romantic date together. Peppa and Cleaning Day. One beautiful morning, Peppa and George were happily playing in their bedroom. Suddenly, Mummy Pig came in and said, "Children, let's clean the house today." Both Peppa and George cheerfully replied, "Yes, Mummy." Peppa quickly put away her stuffed toys neatly, while George ran to the living room with a broom to start sweeping. While Peppa went to rinse the mop, George had already finished sweeping the floor. When Peppa came back to mop the floor, the two siblings worked together to clean the whole house. Winter has arrived, and the cold wind gently blows through the trees. Peppa excitedly invites George to go ice skating. George immediately agrees. The two siblings quickly get ready and head to the big, shiny, sparkling ice rink. Yahoo! They glide around the rink, laughing and spinning along the shimmering ice. Time passes quickly as they skate for hours, having so much fun. When they start to feel tired, ending a wonderful winter skating day. Today, the sun is shining brightly. The two sisters go outside to play with their toy airplane.
Wow!
The airplane goes whoosh, whoosh in their hands. They throw the airplane very far. It flies very fast and high in the blue sky. The two sisters laugh happily and run after the airplane. It is a fun and sunny day. What a perfect day for a movie! Peppa and George were happily playing in the park when Peppa suddenly exclaimed, "Oh, there's an outdoor movie screening today." Excited, they ran home to invite Mommy and Daddy to come along. Mommy and Daddy smiled and agreed right away. The whole family quickly got ready and headed to the movie spot.
Wow!
2 hours later.
As everyone sat down, the lights dimmed. The projector lit up, and the fun movie began. On a lovely sunny morning, Peppa and George were playing in the park. Peppa was sitting on the swing, watching as George played happily on the slide. The sky slowly darkens, and the full moon rises high. Halloween has arrived. Peppa and George are playing happily inside when suddenly, knock, knock, knock. It's their two best friends, coming to invite Peppa and George out for Halloween fun. Excited, They rushed to the door, giggling, and together with their friends, magically transform into amazing costumes. A wolf, a rabbit, a cat, and a witch. The group heads out into the streets, knocking on doors for candy, laughing under the bright moonlight, and enjoying a wonderful, colorful Halloween night. It was a beautiful sunny morning, and Peppa and George were playing in the backyard. Suddenly, George pointed up at the sky, where the stars sparkled brightly. Peppa smiled and nodded in agreement. The two quickly got ready. They put on their helmets and stepped into the shiny spaceship. The rocket blasted off, soaring through the fluffy white clouds and into the vast universe. They floated around joyfully among the stars. Peppa stopped on a bright orange planet, while George lay back on a soft pink planet, smiling as he gazed at the endless galaxy. A hot, sunny afternoon. My sister and I were talking and decided to go to the pool to beat the heat. And off they went, all excited, heading to the swimming pool. They arrived and saw their friend happily splashing in the water.
Hey, hey! Let's go!
The little sister jumped into the pool, splashing around happily, while the big sister relaxed and sunbathed on a colorful chair. On a beautiful morning, Peppa was playing inside the house when George suddenly rushed in. Peppa, outside, there's a sparkling magic circle, George said, pointing toward the yard. The two siblings dashed outside. In the middle of the yard was a glowing circle, swirling like a rainbow. Peppa and George curiously stepped closer. As they stood before the circle, the light grew brighter, and a gentle wind swirled around their feet. In the blink of an eye, they were transported to a space portal, surrounded by beautiful candy-colored planets floating all around them. On a cool and sweet day, George ran home quickly to look for his sister Peppa. Breathing heavily, George excitedly told her that he had discovered a huge, colorful candy garden. Hearing this, Peppa became very excited, and the two siblings happily ran outside right away. When they arrived, a whole world of delicious sweets appeared before their eyes, filled with candies of all shapes and colors. After a while, Peppa and George invited each other to move on to another area, where they played together, laughing and having lots of fun in the magical candy garden. One beautiful day, Peppa and George were playing on the bench.
Hey!
Mommy Pig came over and asked, "Do you want to plant some trees?" The two thought for a moment and then agreed. And the two excitedly went to the
2
yard,
hours later.
planted the seeds in the available pots, and watered them. The next day, beautiful flowers bloomed brightly, making the two very happy.
Go!
Hours later.
It was a beautiful morning. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig were chatting in the living room. Suddenly, Peppa and George ran in with excited faces. Mummy, Daddy, can we go to the museum today? That sounds like a wonderful idea.
Hours later.
When they arrived, the whole family looked around in amazement. The museum was huge and beautiful. Their first stop was the Royal Armor and Shield display. Next, they visited the royal crowns of the King and Queen. Finally, they entered the dinosaur fossil section. A giant skeleton appeared before their eyes. A day at home without Mom and Dad. This morning, Mummy Pig is getting ready to go to work. She reminds the kids, Peppa, George, be good while I'm gone. Both of them reply cheerfully, Yes, Mummy. In the living room, Daddy Pig is also getting ready to leave for a while. He bends down and says, I'll be back soon. Remember, don't open the door for strangers. When Mummy and Daddy leave, the house suddenly feels so quiet.
Yippee!
The two start playing happily, laughing all around the house. But oh no, toys are everywhere. Crayons rolling on the floor, pillows flying onto the sofa. On a lovely sunny morning, Peppa and George were playing in the park. Peppa was sitting on the swing, watching as George played happily on the slide. After having fun, Peppa and George would go home to play together. Peppa went to get the toys, and George sat nicely waiting for his sister to come back. The two siblings played together while waiting for Mummy and Daddy to come home. On a cool Sunday, the two sisters were playing in the yard and happily blowing bubbles. Suddenly, they heard their mother calling from inside the house. They quickly ran inside and saw Mummy Pig making a cake. The two sisters cheerfully helped their mother finish the final steps of the cake. Seeing her children being so helpful and well-behaved, Mummy Pig felt very happy and joyful. One cool afternoon, George came home from playing and noticed a strange painting hanging in the house. Curious, he ran to call his sister Peppa to come and see it. As soon as they touched the painting, it began to glow and suddenly pulled them inside. Peppa and George found themselves in a colorful world inside the painting. Excited, the two siblings walked around, traveling from one painting to another, each one revealing a new and magical world. Their adventure in the paintings had just begun. On a sunny day, my sister and I decided to go for a walk.
Yahoo!
The two sisters put on their hats carefully before going for a walk, so the sun wouldn't shine on their heads. Suddenly, a big gust of wind blew sister's hat away. The big sister burst into tears and cried loudly. The little brother went to get help. The giraffe agreed to help the two siblings. Surprisingly, the giraffe was a magician, so he helped the big sister get her hat back very easily. The two siblings were very happy to get their hat back. It's a beautiful day, and the sunlight gently shines through Peppa's window. Today is Mummy and Daddy Pig's anniversary. Peppa and George whisper happily to each other, "Let's go outside and play, so Mommy and Daddy can have some time together." The two of them run out to the garden, laughing and jumping in muddy puddles. Meanwhile, Mommy and Daddy Pig stay home to prepare for a romantic evening. When everything is ready, they smile at each other. The room glows with candlelight, gentle music, and warm memories. That evening, Mommy and Daddy Pig enjoy a cozy, romantic dinner together. 2 sweet cakes. Peppa sister and Peppa brother were playing happily in the park, running around under the clear blue sky. After a while of playing, both of them started to feel hungry. The two siblings decided to go back home to find something to eat. When they arrived, Peppa brother sat down to rest in the living room, while Peppa sister went into the kitchen. Hey!
2 hours later.
There, she saw 2 delicious-looking cakes and quickly brought them back to share with her brother.
Whoa!
One beautiful morning, the weather was lovely. The two sisters went to the park and played happily together. After playing for a while, they came up with an idea to continue their adventure, so they walked around a small nearby forest together. In the forest, the two sisters explored as they walked, laughing, talking, and having fun non-stop. When they started to feel tired, they quickly ran back home. When they arrived home, the two sisters excitedly told Mummy Pig about where they had gone and what they had done that day. Mummy Pig smiled happily. After finishing their story, the two sisters happily returned to their room, singing and dancing together, ending a truly wonderful day. One fresh morning, Peppa and her little brother George were playing in front of their house. Suddenly, they heard the cheerful jingling sound coming from afar. Rabbit and cat friends quickly ran over, each holding a fluffy, sweet cotton candy stick. They excitedly shouted to Peppa and George, "There's a cotton candy cart near the forest. It's really delicious." Hearing the news, Peppa and George were thrilled. The two of them eagerly hurried toward the forest. When they arrived, they saw a colorful cart filled with all kinds of cotton candy in different flavors. Peppa and George each chose a big, fluffy stick for themselves. It was truly a sweet and joyful morning. Peppa and the sparkly bunny friend. Little Peppa was playing with her stuffed bunny. Big Peppa came over and asked curiously, "Where did you get this bunny?" Little Peppa smiled and pointed into the distance. The two sisters ran off and discovered a magical scene, a table and chairs made of mooncakes, and a big gate guarded by white rabbits. Little Peppa sat on a mooncake chair and pointed to the gate. Big Peppa bravely went inside and soon came back, holding two more lovely stuffed bunnies.
2 hours later.
The sisters were overjoyed, hugging all their bunnies as they sat together at the mooncake tea table under the gentle moonlight. Today, Peppa's family is in the living room. Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig are having a cheerful chat when Peppa and George come over to join in. Suddenly, Mummy Pig has a wonderful idea. "It's such a lovely day. Why don't we go to the beach?" The whole family quickly agrees and starts getting swimsuits. And so, a fun-filled trip to the beach has officially begun. The family is on their way to the beach. After a cheerful car ride, the Pig family finally arrives at the beach. They decide to split up. Peppa and George rush off to build their very own sandcastle, while Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig go for a little walk together and take some lovely photos. One quiet evening, while the two sisters were sleeping soundly, their shadows suddenly appeared under the moonlight. Delighted, the shadows wandered around the house and then went out into the yard to enjoy the peaceful night.
Yoo-hoo!
2 hours later.
As the sky gradually brightened, they returned and merged back with the two sisters. In the morning, the sisters woke up feeling as if they had just had a beautiful dream. One beautiful day, Daddy Pig came home from work. At that time, Peppa and George were in the living room, happily playing with their teddy bears. Peppa put a teddy bear on the chair and pretended to make it move. George walked over curiously to take a closer look. Suddenly, Peppa pressed a button and the teddy bear shouted, "Boo!" making George jump in surprise and run to hide behind his sister. Peppa laughed happily, and soon George laughed too. The two siblings continued playing together joyfully. In the evening, Mummy Pig called them to dinner, ending a warm and happy day. Exploring the Halloween house. One starry evening, Mommy called out, "Kids, it's time to explore our new house." Hearing that, the two siblings jumped up, their eyes sparkling with excitement. Without hesitation, they climbed onto the magic broom. "Let's fly!" They cheered, and the broom instantly soared into the glittering night sky. Before long, they landed in front of their brand new house. In the yard, little gifts were waiting, like a warm welcome. The two siblings carried the presents inside and sat down to play happily. One warm afternoon, the Peppa family was gathered happily together. Daddy Pig suddenly had the idea to take everyone out for an adventure, and the whole family agreed with excitement.
Let's go!
Sir, yes, sir!
They stepped outside and found a cart full of colorful balloons. Each of them picked a bunch, and as soon as they held the strings, the balloons lifted them gently into the sky. While enjoying the magical ride, a chilly breeze blew by, carrying them over a tall mountain. Everyone laughed with joy, their happiness echoing through the air. The magical cloud. Inside their little house, Peppa and George were happily playing with their teddy bears. They giggled, hugged their toys. After a while, the weather grew hot, so the two decided to go outside for some fresh air. Magically, the cloud gently scooped up Peppa and George. The two looked wide-eyed in surprise, then burst into laughter as the cloud lifted them higher and higher into the sky.
Hooray! Hooray!
One clear morning, you and I were still fast asleep. Suddenly, a friend showed up and knocked on the door. Our close friend smiled and said, "Let's go for a walk, you two." Suddenly, a mysterious object began to leap. It turned the white rabbit pink.
Hey!
Luckily, the strange object managed to retrieve the leaking item just in time. One breezy afternoon, Peppa and her little brother were sitting on the swings in the garden. Suddenly, they came up with a fun idea: skateboarding. The two quickly grabbed their skateboards and ran to a tall, sloping hill. Peppa went first, zooming down with the wind whooshing past her ears. Then her brother followed, laughing with joy.
Yahoo!
They happily went for a second ride, their giggles echoing across the hill. After having so much fun, Peppa and her brother carried their skateboards back home, smiling all the way. One day in the high-flying balloon, while the family was together, Mummy Pig had an idea. Let's go on a hot air balloon ride.
Okay.
Everyone happily agreed. When they arrived, Peppa and her brother were amazed by the huge balloon and ran ahead. Daddy and Mummy followed, and the whole family climbed aboard. Hey! The balloon slowly floated up, passing small clouds.
Yahoo!
And finally drifting into a sky full of sparkling stars. One winter night, while Peppa and George are sleeping, snow begins to fall. A cold breeze wakes George up, and he calls Peppa to come outside and see the snow.
Hey!
The two quickly put on their warm clothes and run into the yard. To their surprise, there is a sparkling Christmas tree and a beautiful snowman. Peppa and George happily go over and build another snowman together, laughing and playing with joy. Peppa's Sunny Family Day. It's a beautiful sunny day, and the sunshine fills Peppa's little house. Peppa and George are happily playing inside. Excited, Peppa and George run outside. Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig are spreading a colorful blanket on the green grass.
Go!
Hours later.
In an instant, the two magic up a basket full of colorful sweets and treats. The whole family sits together, laughing and enjoying the snacks. Peppa and George stand up and start singing a cheerful song, while Mummy and Daddy Pig join in, dancing and bouncing happily. One beautiful morning, the sun was soft and the breeze was cool. In the living room, the two sisters were chatting happily. "Let's go outside and play," they said together. They ran quickly into the pine forest near their home. Tall green trees swayed gently in the wind, making a soft rustling sound. Suddenly, a magical gust of wind swept past them. Whoosh! The wind gently lifted the two sisters up into the sky. They flew over the green pine forest and then glided past their own house below. Laughing joyfully, they stretched out their arms and happily enjoyed the cool, refreshing breeze around them. It was a truly magical and joyful flight. Peppa and the Snowy Day. One winter morning, Big Sister Peppa was sitting in her room, happily singing to herself. Suddenly, little Peppa ran in and shouted, "Sister, the yard is covered with snow." Hearing that, Big sister Peppa excitedly grabbed her sister's hand and rushed outside. In front of them was a wide yard, all white with snow, piled up into little hills. They climbed up high, then giggled as they slid down, leaving long tracks on the white snow. Their laughter echoed through the yard, making the cold day feel warm and joyful. As the weather grew colder and their bodies tired, the two sisters happily went back home, still smiling at the fun they had in the snow. One sunny morning with a gentle, cool breeze, Peppa and George were sitting inside watching a cartoon. After a while, Peppa suddenly stood up and said, "George, let's go outside and play." George nodded right away. Once they stepped into the yard, the two of them came up with a superhero game. Peppa flew up first and launched her move, the Pink Piggy Whirlwind. George quickly dodged to the side, giggling. Feeling at a disadvantage, Peppa instantly transformed into a flying sea creature. A fish-like body with a wave-shaped tail sparkling under the sunlight. The two of them soared around the sun, gliding through the clouds, laughing as their voices echoed across the sky. As the day gently faded into night, Big Peppa and Little Peppa sat side by side, chatting softly about the stars above. While tiny stars slowly began to appear in the sky, and they were the zodiac constellations. That is the Cancer constellation, Sagittarius zodiac sign, Libra zodiac sign. Big Peppa and Little Peppa watched together. Scorpio zodiac sign, Aquarius zodiac sign, On a cool morning, the two siblings were playing in the park when the sun began to rise higher and the weather turned hot. Suddenly, they came up with an idea. Let's go diving in the sea! So they ran straight to the beach. When they reached the water's edge, George jumped in first with a cheerful splash. The older sister followed right after. They slowly dove under the clear blue water and started spinning around, happily playing beneath the waves. One cool afternoon, Peppa and her parents were playing together in the yard. Daddy Pig smiled and said, "Let's all go to the back garden and watch the clouds." So the whole family went outside and lay down on the soft grass. Peppa, George, and Mummy and Daddy Pig looked up at the bright sky. The fluffy clouds drifted by. Look, one cloud looks like a teddy bear. Another one looks like a little fox. And there's even a lion slowly floating across the sky. The pig family laughed and pointed at the shapes, enjoying a warm and happy afternoon together. Peppa and the Fun Running Race. On a beautiful sunny day, the village held an exciting running race. Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig were happily chatting in the garden when Sister Peppa and Brother Peppa ran by. Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig smiled and decided to go along to cheer for them. Officer Peppa raised the flag and signaled the start. All the little friends dashed forward at full speed. Sister Peppa tried her very best and finally crossed the finish line first. Everyone clapped and cheered loudly, filling the place with joy and laughter. The magical bottles. On a fresh, cool morning, the two siblings were talking about the mysterious, colorful bottles they had heard about in old legends. Mom and Dad came out, and the siblings told them they wanted to go find those magical bottles. Mom and Dad smiled and agreed. So, the whole family began an adventure to search for the magic bottles. After a long journey of exploring, they finally found each shimmering, colorful bottle. The two siblings ran home joyfully, opened each bottle, and tried using them on the family. But then, surprise! They turned out to be giant potions, making everyone grow bigger and bigger. One warm afternoon, the Peppa Pig family was happily playing together in the garden. Suddenly, George jumped up with an exciting idea. Let's play musical instruments. The whole family stepped onto a little stage. First, Peppa and George walked out, followed by Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig. Let's introduce each instrument. Maracas, tambourine, electric guitar, saxophone. Joyful music filled the air as everyone smiled brightly and played with. On a snowy and windy day, Peppa and George were playing outside when a cold gust of wind blew past, making them shiver. The two quickly ran back inside, where Mommy and Daddy Pig were decorating the Christmas tree. Peppa said, "Mommy, Daddy, can we go see the snowy mountains?" Mommy and Daddy smiled and agreed. So, the whole pig family went out together to explore the majestic mountains covered in white snow, happily walking through the winter scenery. Peppa and the Tree Planting Day. One beautiful afternoon, the whole family was happily chatting in the living room. Suddenly, George walked in, holding a small plant pot, and told everyone that he wanted to plant it. The whole family smiled and agreed, then went outside together to prepare the soil and plant the little tree. The next day, Peppa and George excitedly ran to the yard to take care of their tiny plant. Day by day, the plant grew bigger, blossomed, and bore fruit. When they saw their plant blooming and full of fruit, Peppa and George were overjoyed, jumping and giggling happily around the pot. On a cool afternoon, The sky was clear, and a gentle breeze was blowing. Peppa's family gathered in the yard to prepare for a special time together. Peppa quickly ran into the house to call Mummy Pig outside. Meanwhile, Daddy Pig was carefully getting the musical instruments ready so the whole family could play music together. George toddled over to help Daddy Pig, looking very excited. The whole family gathered together, played musical instruments, sang songs, and laughed happily. The afternoon passed with cheerful music and the warm happiness of Peppa's family. One beautiful morning, Peppa and George were sitting inside the house, chatting happily. George came up with the idea of painting, and Peppa agreed right away. They ran outside to the garden, where an easel was ready. The two of them started painting. Peppa drew George, and George drew Peppa. After a while, they both finished their artworks and felt very happy. Peppa and the Big Rainy Day. One stormy day, dark clouds covered the sky, and the rain began to pour down heavily. George happily nodded. The two of them quickly picked up their colorful umbrella, opened the door, and ran out into the yard. The rain fell pitter-patter, forming big puddles all over the ground. They kept jumping and splashing, water flying in all directions, their laughter filling the air. Soon the rain stopped, and the sky became bright again.
2 hours
The two little
later.
pigs looked at each other, giggling, and ran back inside, soaked but very happy. One beautiful day, Peppa's family went outside to relax. Peppa and her little sister happily carried a big box of colorful Lego bricks. Mummy Pig gently spread out a blanket on the green grass. Then, the whole family sat down together and opened the Lego box. Piece by piece, the little bricks turned into cute and funny animals. Daddy Pig soon joined them, and everyone started building. The family laughed and chatted, enjoying a happy weekend together. One lovely morning, Mummy Pig was tidying up the house. Daddy Pig came over with an idea. How about we go on a relaxing family trip?
Aha!
Peppa and George cheered with excitement.
Hours later.
The whole family quickly got ready, hopped into the car, and set off. On the way, everyone was laughing and chatting happily. When they arrived, Peppa and George eagerly went rowing, while Mummy and Daddy Pig enjoyed a romantic date together. beautiful morning, Peppa and George were happily playing in their bedroom. Suddenly, Mummy Pig came in and said, "Children, let's clean the house today." Both Peppa and George cheerfully replied, "Yes, Mummy." Peppa quickly put away her stuffed toys neatly, while George ran to the living room with a broom to start sweeping. While Peppa went to rinse the mop, George had already finished sweeping the floor. When Peppa came back to mop the floor, the two siblings worked together to clean the whole house. Winter has arrived, and the cold wind gently blows through the trees. Peppa excitedly invites George to go ice skating. George immediately agrees. The two siblings quickly get ready and head to the big, shiny, sparkling ice rink.
Yahoo!
They glide around the rink, laughing and spinning along the shimmering ice. Time passes quickly as they skate for hours, having so much fun. When they start to feel tired, ending a wonderful winter skating day. Today, the sun is shining brightly. The two sisters go outside to play with their toy airplane.
Wow!
The airplane goes whoosh, whoosh in their hands. They throw the airplane very far. It flies very fast and high in the blue sky. The two sisters laugh happily and run after the airplane. It is a fun and sunny day. What a perfect day for a movie! Peppa and George were happily playing in the park when Peppa suddenly exclaimed, "Oh, there's an outdoor movie screening today." Excited, they ran home to invite Mummy and Daddy to come along. Mummy and Daddy smiled and agreed right away. The whole family quickly got ready and headed to the movie spot.
Wow!
2 hours later.
As everyone sat down, the lights dimmed. The projector lit up, and the fun movie began. On a lovely sunny morning, Peppa and George were playing in the park. Peppa was sitting on the swing, watching as George played happily on the slide.